Well, welcome back to the voice chat. Tanner and Colby back with you again. Uh, I don't got a lot of updates of anything crazy going on.
Me neither.
Just work and school. I'm just boring. So,
Yeah, just work. When does your fall semester start?
August 30th,
Okay, so you got a couple weeks. When does summer end
the
then?
21st.
Oh, nice. So you got like
So
a week and a half,
I got a
a
week.
week and a half, 2 weeks or something.
Yeah,
Nice,
that's about a week.
nice. The high schools start next week,
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, it's already August. There's no way it's like August. There's no
but they
way.
start on a Tuesday
I start on a Wednesday, so
or the 15th. Is that
that's
that
Tuesday.
is
Yeah,
that's a Tuesday? I think
yeah,
that's Wednesday is not as weird because it's like the middle of the week. I feel like it's either Monday or Wednesday because they used to start on Thursdays. Like you come for two
yeah,
days.
yeah. That's always stupid. I mean, could be worse. You could show up on a Friday and then be done. I mean,
Yeah, that'd be pointless. But
anyways, public education, man. What are you gonna do?
love it.
Love that. Anyways, we're gonna go a little crazy today. Kind of a little out there topic. I mean, I feel like this kind of goes in phases with people. I don't know. I mean, we're gonna
Hmm.
talk about a couple different apocalypse scenarios and kind of what we do when it happens. I mean, there's always the preppers out there preparing for weird, crazy, who
Yep.
knows what would happen. They got a bomb shelter in their basement,
Blast from the
or what?
Past.
Yeah,
Great movie.
or stockpiling ammunition, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you always got to do that anyways, but
No.
that's just
Yeah.
my
Expect. Yeah. Oh yeah.
opinion. But I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of movies, like not as recently, but like there was a phase there, like 10 years, that there was always like end of the world, crazy
Hmm.
scenarios, like World War Z. I've never seen that movie, but I know it's like a
Right.
apocalypse movie, or
Hmm.
like um what's the other one I just thought of? Anyways, there's a list of them out there.
Hmm.
So what we're gonna do today is we're kind of gonna run through some scenarios of different situations. So like zombie apocalypses, like solar flares, kind of a few different topics. So I'll give a kind of a scenario, and then I'll ask you, Tanner, like, all right, what would you do to survive? Like, what's going to be your downfall, and what's going to keep you from keeping going? So we're just going to
All right.
start off with the probably most popular one, I feel like, out of all of them for the most part, is a zombie apocalypse. So honestly, thinking about it, I don't know how zombie apocalypses start. Like, I'm not into that stuff completely, so I don't even know.
From the little bit I know, it's like it's some virus, either
Mhm.
alien or they discover something in a lab, or they eat a mushroom, something like that, and all of a sudden they get the zombie virus or something. Um, or they just like pop out of the ground, like dead people, just like witches, some
Uh,
spell over some land. They just Michael Jackson Thriller out of the ground.
yeah,
And then, but I feel like with like all the mainstream stuff, either movies or video games or TV shows, I guess it's always like the big cities that get hit first. And I feel like a lot of these are set in a big city, and then the people have to get out of the city to where there's less people.
right. Well,
So,
and I feel like that's like part of it too, is like if you think about like the plague or like anything like that,
mhm,
like some big disease, it's always in the big cities because everybody's so close together, and like then
right,
you get out.
it
uh,
spreads faster.
Yeah, and then you get out in the country or whatever, and it's not as bad.
Hmm.
I mean, crazy things happen. Who knows?
Hmm.
Who knows if it could be real or not? Anything's possible at this point. But
Right. So
so
I feel like
we'll
for
just go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like for us it'd probably be Vegas. That's
Probably.
like the closest major city that would get hit, unless
Yeah,
it
I
came
mean,
from like L.A.
yeah. Well, it probably start L.A. and then work its way up or something.
Hmm.
I'm going to kind of set this stage as like a virus of some sort starting, and then people are just zombies. So
Okay.
you have this start. You you're in St. George. Well, let's put you in St. George.
Okay.
What resources are you using? What are you going to do to try and stay alive and survive through it till there's a cure or the end of
I
time? I don't
die.
know. Yeah,
All right.
you die.
So I just have one question. The way that you would get infected, is it through a bite or is it like a scratch or like any type of contact?
We'll just do any type of contact. Just kind of keep it a general, broad.
Okay. Makes it harder.
Kind of keep it. Yeah, make it a little harder for us.
Yeah, I was gonna say because usually it's like a bite, as long as you just stay away from their face, you're fine. But like a scratch is always like a little bit easier. But all right, so
Right.
anything like that, I'll probably shoot down to my parents because I know they've got like food storage, they've got like 72-hour kits and stuff like that.
Right.
Then they got razors. My dad's got a truck, stuff like that. So it'd be a little bit easier to get out. Because I'd probably, whoever I end up with, probably family, would the strategy would be to get out of the city. Because if the, well, I guess, how soon do we know that it's coming?
Like it breaks news that there's this big outbreak or something in, let's kind of use LA, like it started in LA, this some lab freak accident, like totally
Boom.
takes
Okay.
over a whole building and then just everybody spreads from there and then it's working its way across the country.
Okay. Okay. Luckily, there's a lot of dead space between LA and the rest of towards us.
Yeah.
And if it goes like up and out, there's still some dead space, but let's assume they're heading towards Vegas because there's a lot of people there.
Right.
So we get together with a lot of people and we blow up the gorge. We blow
Yeah.
up the road through the gorge because then, granted, they're not probably getting up and over because that's too hard. And do these zombies die? Like if they don't eat something, like how long is their span?
Yes, just to keep it like natural, like a human can't go 7 days or whatever without food
Hmm.
or
So
whatever
after a
whatever it
few
is.
days, they
Die.
kaputzi. All right,
Yeah.
now can
If
they
they don't
eat
eat your
each
brains.
other? Can they eat each other?
I would assume so because like they're
Hmm.
zombies, they're not really thinking.
Right, but eventually they're gonna whittle themselves down. Okay,
Right.
so we blow up the gorge because then there's not really an easy way to get through, at least not one that's gonna be quick. So then their only other way to get around would be the long way, but that would probably take them a few days. Block off the roads from Vegas first, um,
Right.
and then still probably hightail it out of here. Um, I don't know where though. Maybe like north and east to
Hmm.
like the middle of nowhere, and then just like set up camp. Um, find a way to build a wall or something, make like a fort almost,
Right.
and just wait it out.
That's honestly probably your best option is just getting away from everybody, setting up some sort of defense to keep yourself away from everybody else, and then either wait it out or just wait till you die, I guess. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't think I would do anything much different besides just like not worrying about trying to stop them from moving up from Vegas or whatever. Just let it happen and just run off out in the desert and
Right,
just or out in the mountains or something and just go hide and just keep everybody away from you. I mean,
right.
I'd rather do that right now anyways than sit here and work and go to school and
I agree. I agree.
I'd much rather become a mountain man than sit here, but
Oh, same.
but we do it with what we can. So
Hmm.
I I think that's a pretty good answer to that. But
Hmm.
what do you think would stop you from succeeding and having that all happen?
Um, well, it's time not kicking out fast enough,
Yeah,
and then just not like prepping. I guess not building a good enough defense.
right. I think probably the other factor is just other people in general. Like
Hmm.
everybody's trying to get out at once or whatever or
Right. And not just that, just
whatnot.
like
Panic.
trying to carry the weight, I guess.
Right.
Because like if someone can't, like if someone just sits there because they're freaking out the whole time and then they're not doing anything at all, right? Because like Gage, he's in a, he has a heart, he's got cerebral palsy, he's in a wheelchair most of the time, and he's got a walker, but he can't do as many things. Like he couldn't go out and get firewood, he couldn't go out and help hunt and stuff like that. But I know that we'd put him to work doing something else, and so it's
Right.
like he's doing what he can to help, rather than someone else just kind of sitting there, just occasionally doing something small. It'd be
Right.
hard to deal with bringing someone in that's not doing what they can to help. And so it's like we're just wasting rations on you, or we're just
Right.
wasting resources, which sounds horrible. But in that scenario,
You're kind of on your own. Like you got to do
mm,
what's best for you. There's not really much saving anybody else.
right?
Anyways, we can go ahead and move on to the next scenario here is nuclear fallout. So Russia and US nuke each other out and it's this big mess.
Hmm.
What do you I feel like most of these you're probably all going to do similar things, but I feel like there should be different objectives with all of it, but I
Hmm.
don't know.
I'd say probably the best thing to do first would be figure out whether or not your area is going to be affected. Because the smart thing and to do would be to target major cities. So
Right.
like there goes LA, there goes the Bay Area, there goes Vegas, there goes Portland, Seattle, um, Dallas, maybe Salt Lake, but they probably hit like LA first, DC, New York
Yeah.
are probably like the big ones that would get hit first.
I mean, I feel
Um,
like I've seen some projections of stuff of like if a nuke went off here or in Washington
mhm,
D.C., like how big of an area is affected. Like, okay, yeah, the bomb goes off in D.C., 50-mile radius, that's just blown up, and then 100-mile
right,
radius or whatever, that's pushed out by the solar winds or whatever it's called with
like the
that. I can't
shock
remember.
wave or the
Shockwave, yeah.
radiation.
Yeah. And I mean, it just kind of progressively gets affected outwardly and then eventually kind of
Hmm.
dies out, but everything gets affected.
Right.
But
But like if LA gets hit, because LA is like a little less than 400 miles away from we are,
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. It's like
Between,
350 to
th
400.
yeah, between 3 and 4.
Right? So there's a potential chance of maybe something coming, but at the same time, how will the mountains stop it? Right? Because you
Right.
got the mountains through California, you got the Sierra Nevadas, and then you got stuff like that. So it's like, how is that gonna? Is it gonna slow things down, or do you think it'll speed it up? I would imagine it would slow things down.
I I
It would
would th
hit it and bounce it off weird, and
I mean,
so
I feel like that's true. I mean, that's the whole reason the US has never been invaded, like just because of the geography of everything. Like,
right, because we got mountains on both sides.
yeah,
So because you got the Appalachians on the east and you got the Rockies on the west.
right.
So, but probably find the nearest government bunker. I'm sure they got some out here somewhere.
Probably old facilities or something.
Hmm. Well, I mean, if you play Fallout, my wife really can't loves those games, the older
Hmm.
ones, and one of them, Fallout New Vegas. There's bunkers all over, or vaults, whatever they call them, all over the Vegas area.
Right.
So maybe something like that.
Yeah. Well, I always kind of think it's cool but crazy at the same time that people like make their own bomb shelters or something or their own
Hmm.
like hideaway somewhere in the mountains or something, a secret cabin or whatnot that they
Right,
stockpile everything on. Like,
right.
I think that's like crazy, and it's like, okay, like, is that really going to save you or not? And like a nuclear situation, is that really going to save you if it's 100 miles away? Like,
Hmm.
I,
Right. Have you
I don't
seen the movie Blast from the Past? I mentioned it earlier.
know. I haven't seen it.
So the premise of that is it stars Brandon Fraser. I I can't remember who his dad is. Oh, is it? I can't remember. Anyways, what happens is it's like during the 50s, I think. Yeah, during the 50s when it was like the nuclear scare during the Cold
Right.
War. And this guy was like, oh, what would happen if, Russia or the USSR or whoever it was, what if they go crazy and they blow everything up, right? And so he builds this crazy bunker beneath his house. And this guy was wealthy, like really wealthy because of his
Hmm.
job. Anyways, builds this bunker below his house. It has self sufficient power. It has those hydro plants where plants grow in water and it's got sunlight. He pretty much builds a replica of their house in this cement bunker, however many feet below is needed, I guess. And then
Hmm.
there's like two exits or something like that, but they're both got time locks on them, and it's like 35 years is how long it's supposedly how long it takes radiation to completely be gone. So he's got
Hmm.
these locks on for 35 years. That way they can't get infected at all. And his wife is pregnant at the beginning of the movie. And there's this plane that flies over, and something happens with this plane. I want to say it was a like secret type of plane. Anyways, it starts coming, and it's looking like it's gonna hit. And they're down in the bunker, like checking on stuff or whatever, and then the plane hits and blows up their house because it happens to land right on their house. They start freaking out, thinking it's the Russians coming to invade. So they lock the doors, and then his wife has the baby like within a couple like pretty soon after. So they
Hmm.
raise their child in this bunker. He never sees the light. He never sees nothing, and he grows up with just his two parents. And then 35 years later, they unlock, and he goes out to see if everything's okay. And what's funny is he wears like a hazmat suit when he goes up. Like they've got an elevator. He's in like some hippie store, and then like this dude's tripping on whatever because now it's the 85 or something like that.
Right.
And this guy's just like, ooh, and he's like, he thinks he's like a god or something like that, or the aliens are coming. So then they have like a cult, like it progresses through the movie, and they're like worshiping the elevator and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, just wait for mother or something like that. And then later on, like the mother comes up, and they're like, oh, freaking out, thinking it's God. And well, it's funny, and he's like totally incompetent, or not incompetent. He's blissfully ignorant about how the world works now, because from where the 50s were to now 85, a lot of things are different. And he's got
Right.
like baseball trading cards, so he ends up with a ton of money and moves his family way out. And it's a funny movie. It's a funny movie. But then like at the end of the movie, he gives his dad like this massive house with a big yard, and the dad's like looking around. He starts pacing out like the area for a new bunker to build.
That's
But
funny. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna do something like that, you got to do it like at your house like that.
mm-hmm,
I mean, there's pros and cons. It's like, all right, how do you make a secret bunker? Like, unless you can do all the work yourself, like, it's
mm-hmm.
not going to be secret. Like, people are going to know about it. And
All right. Have you heard of the Coca-Cola bunker and the Oreo bunker?
no.
So Coca-Cola has like a secret bunker where inside, I want to say it's just the recipe to Coca-Cola, because
Hmm.
only like two or three people alive know the full recipe. So they
And they
got the
can't
recipe
fly in the
there.
same plane.
They can't be in the same room together, anything like that. And so it's just, in case something happens. And then Oreo, it's the same thing. Oreo has a fallout shelter where it has every single flavor of Oreo in it.
Hmm.
And I'm sure the recipe that way, if anything happens, the new generation can figure out how to make Oreos, or if aliens invade, same thing. Way in the distant future, they can figure out how to make these delicious cookies. So,
Right. I mean, you got to save Coca-Cola and Oreos, like staple of
mm-hmm.
the of America, man.
Yeah, because they go together.
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah.
Anyways, we can go ahead and move on from nuclear. I mean, there's not much you can do, I feel like, but
Mm-hmm.
just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Now this one may or may not happen soon. We'll see.
All right.
Aliens.
Oh, that's gonna happen. They're real.
So aliens from Mars or whatever you want to say show
Mm-hmm.
up and then take over the world. Like you running and hiding, or you just falling into line, or Like realistically, what do you think would happen
Now, is
to
this
the
like the typical like alien invasion, or is it just like an alien crashes and it's like
like
Planet
alien
51, where the
invasion? Like
oh, okay,
we're here
well,
for your leader. Take
all
us
right,
to your
well,
leader.
chances are there's going to be nothing we can do because if they do exist and they're coming to invade, they've probably either A, done it before,
Hmm.
and B, they have more advanced weaponry, vehicles, all that stuff. They probably can fly. So we're screwed. We're done. Unless we get lucky, like Independence Day, and like figure out a way to blow up the mothership, and assuming that blows up everyone else, or like brings them back to wherever, then it's different. Or if we have, I'm sure the government's got advanced weaponry hiding
Well,
down in their fallout bunker.
I think it's always kind of funny about how everybody like assumes that aliens have more advanced weaponry. Like, okay, yeah, they probably have more advanced technology just because like
Right.
they've perfected space travel or time travel or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. But it's like,
Right.
what if they're still stuck on like bow and arrows and like stuff like that, and they only
But they've,
advanced in everything else? Like, I know that's kind of like an extreme contrast,
mm-hmm.
but
Or they use swords and spears and stuff like that, where they've gotten advanced. Like they're advanced enough to where they use that.
right,
'Cause I feel like that's in some movies where it's like, they're able to cross the galaxies combined, but then they still use, you know, close combat weapons instead of just a gun.
right.
But it's more elegant,
Yeah, that's true.
because guns are just so uncivilized.
Exactly. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes, sir.
Well, kind of another one that's related to this one. I think, I mean, it has happened before. For if you believe what's happened before is like, like what happened to the dinosaurs, like some crazy meteor or planets crashing together, something crazy from space. Just nobody knows
Something
why it happened.
celestial.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I feel like for the most part with this one, you're just kind of stuck. Like,
Mm.
what are you gonna do? Like, okay, you can have like a bunker or something, but it's not like you can run and hide from it. Like, if
Yeah, but
something that big hits Earth, like I don't know.
yeah, it's worse than a nuclear weapon. Like a nuclear weapon will leave, radiation behind. But if you look at, you know, Japan, you look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they are way more advanced now. They're crazy, crazy cities now.
Yeah,
So you can rebuild, but like if an asteroid hits, like if it did with the dinosaurs, if that's what happened to them and wiped out life on the planet, there's nothing we can do about it. Even if we
right.
have like an advanced asteroid, deflective system where we shoot a massive rocket at it and blow it up, what about all the
Yeah,
little pieces? What happens to those?
yeah. They just end up falling to Earth. I mean,
Right. I mean, what is it? Like, you can have an asteroid the size of something that's not even like that big in comparison to the Earth, and it hits the Earth and it wipes out half the planet.
yeah,
Something. So it's like if that happens, even if it's the size of a football field, which seems big, yes, but in comparison to the Earth, it's
tiny.
microscopic. That will do.
Yeah,
It could do a lot of damage.
right.
So, assuming you get a massive one, because I mean, technically the Earth gets hit with little asteroids like
All the
thousands and
time.
thousands of times a day. So,
Yeah. I mean, what I was kind of imagining was like something the size of like a football field or like a couple football
mhm.
fields, like something pretty large, and you could see it in the daylight come and hit
Hmm.
Earth. I mean, for the most part,
Right, right, and then we're all screwed. So,
yeah. It is what it is.
my time has
It has
come.
come.
So, but yeah, there's nothing you can do to defend against that. So,
Yeah. I mean, what I feel like most of these, like when I was researching this and kind of looking up like different apocalypses and stuff, like I'm like, there's nothing you can do in this situation. Like, yeah, you can try
mm,
and survive it, but it is what it is. Like you can't. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Like
Right.
you're a one man show. Like especially like for me, I look at it and going, I'm a one man show. Like there's nothing. Even like in my family, I look at it and like there's really not a lot that we could do. Honestly, like
Hmm.
we could have. I don't know, but
Yeah. There's not
let's
much you
hit.
can do against some celestial like that.
Yeah, let's hit one more, and this one's kind of more not an apocalypse, I guess, but like it kind of come up and when I was looking up ones, but like time loops. So like Groundhog Day. You're
Ah,
living the same day
yeah.
over and over and over again. Like
Okay.
again, there's nothing you can really do. Like that's where
Hmm.
you're stuck unless you learn and figure out how to do time travel or whatnot. Like
Hmm. Yeah. See, and I've thought about this actually because there's so many movies that do it, or TV shows that have an episode that has a time loop where they repeat the same day over and over again. My thought's always like, well, I could do a lot of things because it has no effect because at the end of the day, whoosh, restarts beginning of the day like nothing happened. It's like you could do a lot of different things, but then it's like, what if you're on like you just decide to do whatever you want no matter what, and you make like the worst decisions? It's like, what if we're done with the time loop? Then you live with that, right? But in all the movies, it's always you got to figure out the exact right way to do that day, and then it ends. You got to figure it out somehow.
right.
But I'd probably just freak out for the first little bit, but then who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
Could
you
read a
might
lot
as
of
well
books.
just yeah,
If
go
it
and
doesn't seem
live
like
your
there's
life.
if there doesn't seem like there's a clear outcome, and if you're not like aging because you're just starting that day over and over again, but you still recall all the events, then probably just like take up a hobby, start reading a bunch, maybe learn how to do a bunch of other things. Because then it's like if you do eventually break it, oh boom, look at me, I can do all these things. I think
Right.
that'd be cool.
No. I mean, I think it would have its advantage, like redoing things over. Like, if you think back of, oh man, I wish I would have done that differently. Like, what if that was the one day that you have to relive and fix that because
Hmm.
you did that one thing? Like, that'd be kind of cool. But then it's like, okay, I've been doing this for 30 straight days of the same over and
Right.
over again.
Or
Like,
what if like the time loop is like one of the worst days ever? Like
right.
you've got a close family member that dies and you just gotta
Keep,
there's nothing you can do, but you just have to keep reliving it over and over again. That would
right.
suck.
Right. Well, if if you guys have any crazy conspiracy theories or apocalypses or things that you would do differently, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, download, share, whatever
Hmm.
it is you need to do it for us.
And let us know what you would do in your time loop.
Yeah.
How would you spend your time loop?
Well, I think that wraps it up for today. So thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys next week. Adios.
Bye.